Hi everyone, let's begin. Harmonization with this session 100%, going both ways. Wonderful. So let's see if we can look a little more deeply into the pattern of information, of energy that we're working with today. So let's see, do we need a technique? No, so let's start with second attention. Scanning. Something back here off the left side of the skull, and it feels like it's a little bit above it, like there's something really close to the back of my skin on my skull, kind of like if someone's hand gets this close to your face, even if your eyes are closed, you can feel it. That's what it feels like against the back of my skull right now. So let's check out, is there more that we need to know about this pattern of information? Okay, so what do I notice? That it's connected to another point here and in the front of my neck about here, and that's a vector. It's a line like this that's tilting, which makes me think emotional component. That's psycho-emotional energetics. I would look into the seminar In Deep with Dr. Richard Bartlett if you're interested in learning more about that. There's something about an emotional pattern here that we're looking into. Is there something more that we need to know? Yes, so let's go with testing, yeah, so techniques, okay, so let's go with, no, the specific emotion. Okay, so let's check out where in the body this is. So creative emotional wizardry, so we'll scan. Something on the left side of the body. Something in the kidneys. Let's check out. It's not fear. It's dread. So an offshoot of fear. The emotion of dread being trapped in the kidneys. Related to something that we're seeing and feeling here, and something that I'm feeling across the back of my skull on the right, on the left, which makes me think potentially something to do with vision as well. The visual cortex is along the back of the skull. Let's see if that's true. Okay, so something about vision, something about a sense of dread. Is the front of the neck relevant? So the front of the neck is not relevant. That's just the placement that I'm feeling, the sensation of tilting in the body, right? And it's tilting towards the right side. Is that relevant? So it tilting towards the right side is relevant. Something to do with masculine and feminine energy dynamics. Yes, so let's talk about pointing to the right, or that it's pointing down and to the left. Down to the left, up and to the right is the part that's relevant. So something about masculine energy dynamics and the feeling of dread in our body to do with our kidneys. Let's see. Let's go with something about finances. Something affecting us at a mental and emotional level, and there's a spiritual component going on as well. The emotional level is the dread, right? But the mental level is likely, well, let's check out here. Yeah, so something about a mental stress to do with processing the emotion of fear, right? And dread is an offshoot of fear, so that makes sense to me. So let's start with, do we need to know more about this first? Yeah, so there's going to be two separate protocols for emotions, one for the dread, one for the mental stress involving difficulty mentally processing the dread. There's still something more we need to know about that first. And it is something to do with finances. That's interesting. So let's check out priority, something metaphysical. Let's see, something in a shamanic realm of thinking. So let's check out. Okay, so priority being soul loss. Is there anything else? Okay. So in coordination with soul loss, when this happens, something that I find, well, I suppose first it would be beneficial to talk about what exactly soul loss is. It's a concept that shows up in a lot of different shamanic circles around the world. A lot of different nationalities discuss soul loss. Essentially, you can think of it like emotional trauma, but but from the standpoint of it feeling energetically impactful. And what do I mean by that? When I think about soul loss, I think about it, the picture that runs through my mind is sort of like a compressed ball of air, and it's been really compressed down really tightly, and all of a sudden all of the tension that's holding it in place lets go, and we get a quick expansion of air, almost like an explosion. And in the process of that being, me giving you a corollary to whatever emotional event is going on at this moment in time, what happens in the process of this shockwave of air, let's call it, blasts your energy, and in the process, whatever emotional components of you that are involved with the situation get blebbed off. They bleb off of your spirit. A little essence of your energy separates from you, and it gets stuck in a specific moment in time when you're experiencing this event. That's what I think of as soul loss, leaving little breadcrumbs of myself behind in the moment of my trauma. So something that we do is soul retrieval, something that anyone does for you with soul retrieval, is taking back those little bits of breadcrumbs, those little bits of you that were left in the moment of the trauma, and seeing, can we reintegrate those aspects of our persona, reintegrate those aspects of our energy. So is there something more that we need to know? Let's check out about the soul loss. No. About the emotional component. Okay, so something in the past, so we'll need to do a little bit of time travel here. Matrix Energetics, I would look into that if you're interested in this technique. But there's something more. There's something that we're missing here. Mental stress first, then emotional, then working with the overlying pattern of soul loss. So we need those three things. Is there something more that we need to know first? There is. So there's something that's missing. Is there an external influence here? Is there something else going on metaphysically? Okay, so there's another piece. Is it to do with... Gotcha. So when we have soul loss, typically in this moment in time, especially if this soul loss is to do with other people in our lives, right? The emotional event that's going on is not just an individual thing, but other people around me are also a part of this emotional event, or potentially they're stirring on this emotional event. Then everyone gets affected by that trauma. It's not just you, the individual, who feels traumatized, right? You're the only individual who can recognize and notice that you're feeling traumatized, but that isn't to say that everyone else is not from that situation too. So in this case, what we're picking up on energetically is soul loss on our part and soul loss on the parts of other individuals. But in the process of this interaction, in the process of this event, likely a piece of our soul, a piece of our energy that got blebbed off from that explosive, emotional, energetic event got held onto by someone else in the crowd. And in the same way, we are holding on to fragments of energy from other people in our body. So not only have we experienced a loss of our own energy, a loss of our own expression in some area of our life to do with the emotion and the mental stress surrounding dread, but we're also holding on to the little fragments that blebbed off of the people who were also involved around us in that event. We're using that to fill the void of our own lost energy in this moment in time, but we're filling up that empty space with something that isn't ours. So it's important that we first get this stuff out and return to sender, right? And then the next important piece is that we clear all the blockages to do with why this soul loss occurred in the first place, so that then we can reintegrate the energy that we lost in that moment. So 4-step process. Let's see, is the order important? Yes. So we start with that. So let's start with returning all different aspects of energy to us. So I'd like you to do this one with me if you're following along. Both palms together, and I want you to sweep your left hand towards your chest and your right hand facing straight out. So it'll look like this. Okay, we're going to do it quick. It's a little return to sender. Good. So the fragment of other people's energy, is this still present? Wonderful. So now we should work with first the mental stress. Okay. Now we're here with the kidneys. Cool. So let's go with something like here, here, here. Good. Good, so the mental stress is resolved. So our ability to process this emotion in the future should be easier for us. But now we need to learn more about the dread and about the event of the soul loss. Can we get more information on this now? Okay, so now that other people's energy isn't involved and the stress surrounding us being able to experience this emotion is no longer involved, now we can know more about the actual event that occurred. So let's check out something back in time. So let's say within the past 100 years. Yes, okay, so something within our lifetime. Cool, yes. So within the past 50 years. No, okay, so within the past 60 years, within the past 70 years, within the past 60 years, 61, 60. So something about 60 years ago. So let's go, let's see, 2024 minus 60, 35. There. Something in the 1970s, 1960s, 1970s, experiencing something to do with dread, financially, to do with masculine energy dynamics, which doesn't mean men, it means connection to masculine energy. Something about this is important in the pattern as well, this mudra. I'm not attempting to do this, it was more of a shape that just formed, but some relevance here. There's a lot of buzzing between my two fingertips here, my thumb and my middle finger. Masculine energy dynamics likely to do with, if I had to guess, it is to do with finances. Is it to do with representation and expression? Okay, so fear and dread about having to force ourselves to become something else in order to be financially valuable. Okay. So masculine energy dynamics in terms of not what was expressed or in a specific event wherein someone was too direct with us, but more in terms of us lacking something that is of value within an energetic perspective, right? It's important for us to grow as individuals that we have balanced masculine and feminine energies regardless of our gender, regardless of who we are physically and biologically or by choice, right? How we see ourselves to be, I should say. Not always a choice. But regardless, it's important for our spiritual growth that we have balanced masculine and feminine energies. It's important that we have a balance within our ability to receive and to allow energy to flow, as well as to initiate and to begin the process of stirring up the wave pool in the way that gets the wave to initiate itself, right? We should be able to ride the wave and let the wave take us where it needs to go. That's feminine energy, but we should also be able to initiate waveforms. We should also be able to begin new things in our life or to express ourselves in certain ways, such as the four masculine energy dynamics, which would likely be relevant in this case of the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover, right? It's important that we have a balance between these four things, but when we are maturing as men or women or however you identify in this world, there are often aspects of ourselves that are not in alignment with the mature version of ourselves. There's aspects of who we are that are not in alignment with the fully matured version of ourselves in terms of our masculine energy and our feminine energy. Learning to move forward and grow within these is beneficial, but it's also been difficult in the West because we don't have cultural representations of what it means to be healthy masculine energy in all four of these categories. We have books that we can read if we choose to go about that route. Same with feminine dynamics, same with women. It's hard to find the exact representation of a model to model ourselves after, and to grow into someone who's like that. Everyone has their faults, and it's difficult to move into maturity without having a mentor to do this with you. And in indigenous tribes and all across the world, classically there would be people who initiated you into adulthood, or there would be processes by which you initiated yourself into adulthood via let's say vision trips, psychedelic journeys, spending time with a mentor, becoming an apprentice, right? But that's not so much available these days. That seems to be an aspect of the trauma that we're experiencing in the 1970s for some reason, is when this aspect was initiated. So likely a time when we either lost a specific sort of figure that we could model ourselves after. Interesting. Or a reduction in the value of that capacity. Yeah, that's curious. But the problem isn't the loss of the individual, right? It's the sense of dread that prevents us from adapting to the situation and moving forward. So with that said, is there more that we need to know? Okay, so now we have all the information that we need. Something about this is still relevant. Let's talk about something chemical in the body with the middle finger, with the thumb having to do with ether as well. So likely something affecting us from a level of physical levels of testosterone in the body, potentially, other sex hormones in the body, potentially. Okay, and cortisol levels. Oxytocin as well, so sex and love hormones being affected by this trapped emotion in the kidneys. Okay, it's over here. Cool. Wait. There, if I knew what to do in order to make this pattern of energy and information, light and information more useful, what would I do? This emotion of dread still present in the body? No, wonderful. Is this instance of soul loss still present? Good. So that unraveling work to release the energy as well as retrieve these lost fragments for us. Yeah. And likely in this case, not all, but the majority of what's going on is from past life reincarnations, as well as ancestral things, right? Things that came about in the 70s, in the about mid-1970s. Something that was lost to us, but we've regained this aspect of ourselves now. Is this true? Did Jesus of Nazareth arrive in the flesh? Wonderful. Okay. Is there anything more that we need to know today? Wonderful. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope that you have a wonderful day and a beautiful holiday season. Take care.